Side view mirrors here real quickly. The only problem with putting this stuff on the side view mirrors is it gets a little hard to get off. You can't push as hard on these because they kind of flop around inside the housing. Used about half a bottle. That means I'm gonna be able to easily put 2 full coats on the whole thing. You know, my buddy was riding in the car. He's like, "Oh man, you got Rain-X." And I said, "Well, something like Rain-X." You know, the difference between this fancy stuff and Rain-X is Rain-X breaks down a lot sooner. So I've always found that Rain-X just doesn't last as long. And then when this stuff sort of gradually, at least the Wolf's gradually breaks down. And you kind of slowly start getting less beading. Whereas Rain-X would just start smearing and would last like a tenth the amount of time that this stuff does. So same principle, just doesn't work as well. All right, so let's put a second coat on these. Really, I doubt this second coat really does anything other than maybe if you miss the spot. Might help you. Something tells me this video is going to be a long one. Maybe I'll cut some of it out. Pretty sure this stuff is exactly the same as every other stuff I've ever used. All right, second coat. Still just slightly past a half of the bottle. You need to do the wipers as well. It says they'll do the wiper blades. That way it won't break down as quickly. Let's do that. The problem is, it gets it all dirty. Just make sure I got this good. since it just got all this black stuff all over, I'll just flip the little microfiber thing over. So I got some black crap from the wipers. Well, I got a quarter of a bottle left, so I might as well go around and finish it up. Do a second coat on the whole thing. Dang, that hurts my fingers. Just get fatigued. I forget what time I started this project, but I've kind of screwed around, got some lunch, came in, went and watched TV for a little bit, but I've been jerking around with this all day since about probably 11 o'clock, 11:30 today, so I stand by my suggestion to, if you're going to do the windows, do them at a different time than the rest of the car. Polishing, waxing. Especially if you're lucky enough to have two cars, then I just like spreading this stuff out. The way my wife took my kids, they're off, or my son's off from school, preschool today. She took them to Dave & Buster's, so that's why I have this day to jerk around, make some videos, dial in the windows, trim, wash the car. All right. Still have a quarter of a bottle left. We'll just keep it. So now the last step will be let this sit for a little bit. Then we'll just wipe it all off. You have to kind of buff it off, so I'll show you that. My guess is, and I know I haven't used this kind yet, but my guess is we're going to have to use some muscle to get this stuff off. I wonder if you can reuse these microfiber towels. Probably not. I'll just throw them away. The little microfiber applicator towels is what I'm talking about. These little blue things. All right, I'll be back in a few. All right, let's finish this up. See how easy this comes off without putting anything on. Yeah, that's what I thought. It's the same as most of the others. Just gonna spray a little window cleaner on here. is different towels. I'm gonna use my go anywhere, do anything griot towels. I don't want to mess up my window towels. Usually, in like a day or so, I have to wipe the windows down again to get the rest of the residue off. We'll see if this Gyeon's any different. I doubt it. Probably have to do the same thing. Oh, by the way, I figured out what I was doing wrong on the old wiper blade, retractable wiper blade thing. So they aren't broken. I was broken. Kind of figured it was user error rather than falsely engineered. I have a hard time admitting that sometimes when I just don't know what the heck I'm doing. Okay. Now it says not to get it wet. It's a little gummier, a little tackier than some of the other stuff I've used. Let's just leave this off the window for the night and let it cure. Seems like this is the 15th time I've cleaned the windows today. I guess it pretty much is. Between the trim and the windows, it's a whole lot of work. But this, for me, doing windows has a lot of payoff. There's a lot of advantage. Just being able to see properly when you're driving in the rain. Windows don't fog up. Windows keep the inside clean. It's a win-win all around. Now I kind of hope it rains. See how this stuff works. I'm sure it's going to work great. The question will be 6 months from now, which is better? Is it the Wolf's or is it the Gyeon? Or are they similar and is the Gyeon acceptable? Because we can all buy that from Esoteric in Ohio. It's not that Wolf's doesn't exist. It's just really hard. I talked to Phil at Detailer's Domain about it. He said it's just really hard to get stuff out of Hungary. And unless they could commit to a massive order, it just wasn't cost. Nobody wants to pay, $100 for a coating. So it just was sort of cost prohibitive. Shipping these hazardous materials overseas. The other one to try could be, CarPro's version, CarPro Flyby, or Nanolex, or there's a bunch of different companies that do this, make this stuff. I'm sure that my B pillars or whatever the heck these things gonna be all jacked up from me scrubbing on them here. So I'm gonna have to polish and fix those. And then not do this in the future. They're already swirled anyway. If you touch them, they swirl. If you breathe on them, they swirl. And do the back window and we're done. Thank goodness. Like I said, I'll get in the car tomorrow and it'll have some hazy spots and some spots will need to touch up. And usually it's not until after the first wash that you really have clean, dialed in glass. I can do this without messing up the decal. Make sure I get that other side view mirror. Actually, I don't think I did the other side window either. Let me see. Yeah, I did this. Never mind. Okay, so let's recap here, explain sort of the process. First was clean the trim with the Adams APC or whatever APC you got, or Griot's rubber cleaner or something like that. So first we cleaned that, then we clayed or auto scrub the windows. Then the next step was wash the car, bring the car in. Again, you'd probably want to wash the windows if they were really dirty before claying them, so you're not dragging a bunch of dirt across the windows. Mine, again, were pretty clean. It had just rained, and so the windows were in decent shape. Then bring the car in, dry it off. We cleaned the trim with 91% IPA or 97% or 80, whatever percent, it really doesn't matter. Just use some IPA on the trim. You could sit there and keep scrubbing until it stopped turning black. I'm too lazy to do that. And I mean, there's sort of, it looks great. So, I mean, just scrub it good and get it clean. The older it is, if you haven't done that, you saw how much dirt came out of mine, and mine are usually pretty clean. So, after the IPA and the trim, we put 2 coats of the Gyeon Q2 trim. Then we scrubbed the windows or washed the windows with I let that sit for a couple hours and I came back, making sure that the trim was set. You probably don't have to do that. I don't always do that. Then came back, cleaned the windows with some Griot's window cleaner, whatever window cleaner you have, cleaned the wiper blades. Then we did the Q2 cleanse. Then we wiped it down with IPA. Then we did the Q2 cleanse, wiped off with a damp towel, and then followed with a dry one, and then put the 2 coats of Gyeon Q2 Repel. I guess it's Q sub 2 because it's a little 2 subscript, subscript, yeah. So I get a little bit of residue in the from that cleanse in some of the jams here. We'll have to work that out next time we wash it. But I like it. I mean, it certainly goes on like everything else I've ever used. And let's see how durability is after a while. So I'll continue to update you on this. So what I'm going to do is I'll do the GT3 with Wolf's, and then we'll be able to sort of compare. I don't drive the GT3 in the rain as much, so it's not quite as fair of a comparison. But you could certainly do a 4-door car, 2 coats with 1 bottle of Q2 repellent. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more stuff.